Good morning, children. Hope you understood about the different air passages: nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea and bronchi. Children, when you study about these respiratory organs, please note the location and function of these parts. In this session, we will learn about lungs, gaseous exchange in an alveolus, and blood supply to the lungs. Let's learn about lungs. Human beings have a pair of lungs. The lungs are roughly cone-shaped, tapering at the top and broad at the bottom. The lungs are spongy and elastic. The left lung has 2 lobes and the right lung has 3. The left lung is slightly smaller to accommodate the heart in between. Each lung is covered by 2 membranes called pleura. There is a watery fluid present between these 2 membranes, and this fluid is called pleural fluid. As we all know that lungs expand and contract, this fluid, the pleural fluid, actually avoids friction and protects the lungs from damage. Now, what does the lungs comprise? The lungs comprise bronchioles, air sacs, that is alveoli, and blood vessels surrounding the alveoli. Now, let us proceed and learn about gaseous exchange in an alveolus. In the diagram, we observe that an alveolus or the air sac is surrounded by a capillary. For identification, the capillary is green and the red parts are basically the red blood cells. We had learnt in the previous module that the walls of the alveoli are very thin. And we also know that the walls of the capillaries are also thin. Now, when the air reaches the alveolus through the air passage, oxygen diffuses into the capillary very easily, and carbon dioxide, which was brought from the various parts of the body, diffuses into the alveolus and then moves out through the air passage. Thus, we see that air sacs inside the lungs help in diffusion of gases. After the oxygen diffuses into the capillary, the oxygen combines with the hemoglobin present in the RBC and is transported to different parts of the body. Once the cells receive the oxygen, the glucose present inside the cell gets oxidized to release energy. It is in the cell that the respiration takes place. So, it is known as cellular respiration. Gaseous exchange in alveolus is very important, children. Please study the diagram carefully. Now, let's move to the topic blood supply to the lungs. The deoxygenated blood, that is the blood which contains more carbon dioxide and less oxygen, is brought from all body parts, and the heart receives this blood, that is the right auricle receives the blood, which in turn pumps the blood to the right ventricle, and then this right ventricle pumps the blood to the lungs. In the lungs, that is particularly in the alveolus, diffusion of gases takes place. The deoxygenated blood becomes oxygenated blood, and this oxygenated blood is carried to the heart, and from the heart through the arteries the oxygenated blood is transported to different parts of the body, and this process continues. In this session, we learned about different parts of respiration. The first part, that is taking in atmospheric air. The second was gaseous exchange, which took place in alveolus. We saw how oxygen present in the alveolus diffused into the capillaries, and then this later oxygen was carried by the hemoglobin of the RBCs to different cells. The third part is tissue respiration. Here also diffusion takes place. Oxygen is taken in by the cells and carbon dioxide diffuses out of the cells into the capillaries. And the fourth part is cellular respiration. Now that the cells have got the oxygen, glucose oxidizes to release energy. And it is in the cells that the two main phases of respiration takes place. First one, glycolysis, which takes place in cytoplasm, and the second phase, Krebs cycle, takes place in the mitochondria of the cell. So children, breathing and respiration are two different processes. Breathing is taking in oxygen and respiration is using this oxygen to break down glucose in the cell to release energy. So we can say that respiration includes breathing, but breathing does not include respiration. Do read the chapter, children, and go through the diagrams. That's it for today, children. Have a good day. Thank you.